Hello, this is Miss the Slayer, and another live Blitz chess game commentary. This is Cillian. We'll see if we go to the dragon or some sort of early deviation. So far, looks like the dragon. Okay, and bishop to d3 is definitely an early deviation. I think I'm going to go ahead and play knight to c6, which now his knight has to do something. And at this stage, I'll play knight to g4 to harass this bishop. The move bishop to b5 is check isn't possible because he's played bishop to d3 already, which basically gave me a free move with this knight. Now I guess he could move his bishop to g5 or to d4. That works too. I think I'm going to go ahead and play e5 here. It makes my d6 pawn backwards. But I can always play f5. His d3 bishop is not going to be very good. Take that off. So now he's going to have double d pawns, which I think makes up for my backward d6 pawn. I'm not exactly sure how I want to deal with my bishops at this stage. I think maybe queen to c7 is actually the best. Well, I do have queen to h4 check too. Actually, I have a lot of options here. This might be a time actually to play a5. Because basically that keeps a lot of my options open. But what is he going to do? Castle, kingside, maybe d5 right away. I'm not sure if I like d5 right away. Problem is bishop to e7, bishop to g7. I'm not sure about that. Bishop to d7, bishop to b7. It's just maybe queen to b6 here. Attacking this b2 pawn and this e3 pawn. I think that actually is probably the best. Excuse me. Yeah, b2. So I think he'd probably have to play queen to e2 or something. And then maybe queen to d2 actually would be best. So then queen takes, rook to here, queen to a3, maybe rook to b3, queen to a5, I suppose. Something along those lines. And I basically get the b2 pawn. Okay, so that's fine with me too. I'll just take the e3 pawn. So now I'm basically up a pawn. And I think that I'm going to want to play. I think maybe bishop to e6 at this stage. Yeah, I think bishop to e6 is going to be best. I'm still not entirely sure where I want my dark square bishop, on e7 or g7. h5, h4 looks somewhat promising. Not too promising, because the queen side is fairly open. I think I'll just go right back to b6 and attack the b2 pawn again. Now actually I think bishop to g7, the idea of d5 and then e4 is going to be, I think, the way to go here. Bishop to g7, probably castle kingside first, and just get this d5, e4 idea, prepare that. I'm not exactly sure. I suppose if he doesn't respond to this, like say he just plays queen to f2 or something. Okay, he responded. So if queen to f2, then I would have probably played something like f5. To put even more pressure on this e4 pawn. Now I'm threatening e4, which immediately wins, I think, a piece for 2 pawns. Now, how do I want to deal with this? There's a lot of different ways. Maybe, well, I don't want to put the queen necessarily on a light square. I think probably just queen to c7 is best at this stage. Puts a little bit of pressure on the c2 pawn. Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to get this bishop for these 2 pawns, which is, I think, a very fair trade. For me, I mean. And then maybe rook to... I suppose I'd want to play rook A to the c8 square as opposed to this rook. And start putting pressure on these pawns then, these backward pawns. My dark square bishop is kind of good. It doesn't maybe look like it's that good, but it prevents a lot of white's potential play. I think just switching plans now. We've got the c4 pawn to commit, or the c2 pawn to commit itself to c4, which now is weakened a3, or I'm sorry, the a2 pawn. So rook to d2, maybe queen to d7, and then rook to d8 is a good way to go. I think I am just going to ignore that for now. If knight to d5, I'll just take. Knight takes d5, or bishop takes d5. I don't want to trade off my dark square bishop quite yet for this. Though maybe I guess that would have been fine too. It would have put his I don't know, that weakens the dark squares around my king, which is probably one of the main ways I would lose this game, is because of those weaknesses. So I'd rather not do that at this stage. I think that at this stage I can play maybe queen to a5. No, I think I actually am going to go ahead and play bishop takes c3, because I want to put my rooks on double up my rooks on the d file, and this bishop is going to help a lot with this f7 pawn, which is kind of my main weakness now. And it's going to be tough for white to get at the weaknesses on my dark squares. It's just going to be tough for him to get anything going there. So now I'm not really putting a whole lot of pressure on this b3 pawn, but it's something. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and move my queen to a more aggressive square. Now I've tripled on the d file, and continue the aggressive maneuvers here. Queen to e2 is probably next. And if I have a little trick here. If rook to f1 or f2, I can takes, and then play down here to check, which I will probably do. So I'll get to trade off queens in that fashion, and then I'll be able to attack these pawns over here a little bit easier. There's going to be less attacking potential for white, and less defensive potential as well. So get my rook to an advanced square, and if b4, I'll just take, and that's pretty much it. I think maybe h5 next. Maybe a5 would be a better move, just to get this b3 pawn as backward as possible. h5 helps sort of, I think, well, a5, he can maybe get some counterplay, so I'm not sure if I want to commit my pawn to a square at this stage. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and take it. Yep. So basically, if he's got to do, I don't know. I do want to be a little careful here, though. So I think I'll go ahead and play this. You know, maybe I should have, okay. Now he can't get to the d6 square, so can play f5, try to get one of my own pawns going. I'm going to go ahead and try to, either way I'll get a passed pawn on the king side, no matter what he does here. So that's really helpful. Okay, so I'm going to have a passed g pawn. I'm not sure exactly where he's planning on putting his king. I'll also be able to play king to this square and takes. I might have to stop commentating a little bit because I'm getting a little low on time. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to do with his moves. They don't seem to be that helpful. Okay, so now, yeah. Now the game's pretty much over. Take that. March this pawn here. He's not going to be able to do anything, really. I guess he could play his king to there, but yeah. Okay, and he resigns. So, let's see. let's see what happened in this game. Yeah, so there was a weird Sicilian with a bishop to d3, which is a pretty rare move. And then I think I kind of approached this the right way, just harassing his dark square bishop. And e5 is sort of a weird move too, but he loses a lot of tempo, and I guess he also loses dark square bishop. So I think that's probably the right way to go. There's other possibilities here, but I think e5 is best there. And then queen to b6 I think was another good move, putting just a double attack on the b2 pawn and the e3 pawn. And after castle, I think really he should have played queen to d2 here, and then queen takes b2, rook to b1, queen to a3, maybe rook to b3. I'm not sure if that's necessary. And basically he'll get some nice. His queen side will develop. He'll get pressure on the b file, and my queen will move around quite a bit. But he I don't know. So he'll have some counterplay, I guess, for the pawn. Whereas here, I don't think he gets any counterplay for the pawn. And the e3 pawn, even though it's double, is actually pretty helpful to him because it guards this d4 square and the f4 square. And those are really, they're not great squares for me, but actually just going forward a bit, you could see the pawn push I did. If there's a pawn on e3 here, this pawn advance is a lot less forceful, because he can take, and he can push e4 himself, and then so his doubled e4 pawn, his doubled e pawns are actually going to help him out quite a bit there. So I mean, yeah, I think that was probably one of his places where the game kind of got out of his control, and then he just sort of blunders. This central pawn push, maybe some more preparation would have been better, but and if he does ignore it and just plays queen f2, or maybe yeah, just queen f2, I guess, then I play f5. Maybe actually rook f2 or something. I don't know what he would want to play. But his bishop is going to have some troubles, I think, regardless. If f5 and then e takes, g takes, and then we still have e4. I have a really big pawn center here. And he would have an open g file, but I'm not sure if he has the resources to take advantage of that. So, and then this is kind of clean up at this point, which I think I did a pretty decent job of. But it's just, you know, I mean, it's important to have ideas and stuff, you know, invade, basically, use tactics to exchange and all that. Just, I guess that's what they call good technique, so I think I did a pretty decent job with technique here. I was a little low on time, so maybe I made some mistakes, but that's not a big deal. So, thanks for watching.